and good evening,
everyone.
How are you? Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I want to have a look. Yes. Hi, Stu. Hi, Gershom. That's great, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So lovely to see you. That's great. How's everyone doing? Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at On Cue. Yay. Our 7th. It's incredible. It's incredible how it's number 7.
On Cue.
Absolutely. And I will keep on admitting people as they come in. So for those of you who don't know, and I need to just do one small thing, and it's not doing that. So we're going to have some technical stuff, but just bear with us. So welcome. For those of you who don't know me, I am Daniela Crankshaw.
And I'm her partner in crime, Grant. Welcome to the show.
Absolutely. How's everyone's lockdown going if you're in lockdown? Woohoo. Great, huh? I don't know about you, but I have completely lost track of time. You know, one day simply blurs into another. And often I experience sort of shorter or longer weeks, depending on whether I've missed or repeated a day. How many of you have had that experience? Anyone? Absolutely. It's insane. It's confusing, especially for someone like me who's so blonde. So
we did, however, manage to remember that yesterday was our 1-year opening anniversary.
Woohoo!
Now we use the word open very loosely, seeing as we've been closed for a while. And we've decided that next week we'll be celebrating our year by having a bunch of people that have been involved with shows with us at Center Stage. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to that for next week.
Absolutely. So the Health Ministry is proposing that theatres open up again on January 10th.
Yeah, we're not sure which year they're talking about. So
we'll just have to wait and see. But, you know, at least Broadway is shut down until through March of 2021. So I guess if they mean January of 2021, we're maybe on a better level than they are. But of course, it all relies on the numbers being down. So let's hope for everyone's health and safety that the numbers do go down and that we are able to slowly but surely get back to some sort of normal, the new normal, shall we say. So also some news about the kids. They say that many parents are stressed to learn that grade 1s to grade 4 are expected to go back to school November 1st. And the remaining grades are only expected to return on December 27th. So thinking that I think that 2021 is going to be a bumper year for sort of adult psychologists and rehab centers. So we have that to look forward to. And we promise to make sure that our 2021 season is appropriate and not things like look back in anger or anything like that.
in terms of our Center Stage news, we've got some really exciting online workshops worked out with Natalie Lipin, who you're about to meet. We're going to get to know her tonight. Natalie's going to be hosting a musical theatre workshop and a tune-up workshop, one for adults and one for kids.
Absolutely, because we are committed to keeping you involved and entertained and connected. So follow us on Facebook, join our newsletter on our website, and stay up to date with all the goings on that is happening at Center Stage.
I'd just like to remind everybody that this is a pay-as-you-can event. So in the chat box, you'll see a little link. Eventually, we'll put one up. And if you can, we'd appreciate any support. If you can't, we understand completely. Just hang in there. We're in this together, and let's have a good show.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let us start. This is exciting, guys.
Yeah. Good evening, Ruby Welkovich.
Yay.
Hi.
Ruby was born and raised in Connecticut. Ruby is a theatre director and actor, began her theatre at a very young age, and we'll learn about that very soon. She graduated from Brooklyn College with a BA in theatre and went on to act and direct several plays. She made her Israeli directing debut at Center Stage, we're very proud to say, with Rapture Blister Burn. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. If you did, you can see it. The play by Gina Gianfrido, which enjoyed sold-out shows, we're excited to say.
So Ruby, welcome back to Center Stage.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Thanks. I'm hoping that the picture behind us reminds you of what it was like, because it's been a while since we've all seen it.
Definitely.
So let's dive straight into it. Ruby, you got into theater at such a young age. Tell us about it.
I mean, there's like this legend story that my parents used to tell me, that I just started performing at home, and I think it was around the time my brother was born. Maybe I needed a little bit of extra attention, and they thought it would be a good time. I do have to make a correction, just because I'm a proud Brooklynite born. I was born in Brooklyn, and then my family moved to Connecticut, but I went back to Brooklyn for school afterwards. And yeah, there was a small little theater barn across the street from where I lived. It was like a little red barn that they had converted, that a community theater had converted into a theater. And I started taking classes there when I was, I think, 3. So I started taking these classes and just continued through my life. And now I'm here.
Wow. That sort of, so when you were growing up, I understand that your parents didn't want you to do professional theater while you were young, and they preferred for you to have a sort of just take the classes and have a solid, good grounding in family and so on.
Upbringing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you did manage to do some community theater, and while you were in college, you did some shows and some. You were in some films for New York, right? Just fill us in on that.
Yeah, so it was really important to my parents that I had a normal childhood. Acting was something I always wanted to do. I actually found a letter recently that I'd written to my mom on my bat mitzvah, begging her to get an agent. But it was always something that they had wanted me to wait on in terms of getting into it professionally. I think it's something I'm really grateful for. I'm really grateful for a normal childhood and a normal education. But I did get really involved in theater in my high school. It was one of the reasons I chose the public high school that I went to, because it was very well known in the theater community in Connecticut. There's this thing called Connecticut Drama Association, and there's lots of competitions that we go to every year. So it was pretty highly ranked. So I went there for high school, and then I got my degree at Brooklyn College. And yeah, I think having an additional education, not just in theater, has really helped me in the world of theater as well.
Amazing. I'm finding it the other way around as well, that the world of theater helped me in business. And
absolutely.
I'll be letting people know a little bit more about that at a certain stage. So you finished your degree, and then did you make Aliyah immediately after that? What was?
Yeah, pretty immediately. I moved here with my boyfriend.
Just like, why?
Why? I was living in New York. I had just graduated college, and my boyfriend, or who you might see in the background in a little bit, decided that he really wanted to study in school as well. It was something that he hadn't done yet. And he is Israeli, and Tel Aviv University was an affordable option, which most schools in New York are not. So we decided to come here, and I decided it was one of those things, like if I stayed in New York, I would always wonder what would have happened if I took a different path. And I figured this is the time to do it. I don't really have any roots anywhere yet, so I'm going to give it a go. And I've been here for 3 years now, almost exactly 3 years. Yeah. It's definitely an experience. It's something that I think about a lot with theater, is that you have to bring your own life experiences into your craft. And I think that everything that you do, you can bring in, and especially the challenges that I face here, and also the wins that I've faced here as well, have really helped me shape who I want to be in the theater world.
So in 3 years that we're here, and you're talking about challenges, so I'll take you up on that. What was one of the biggest challenges that you have or are facing as an artist as an English-speaking artist here in Israel, besides, of course, that minor COVID?
The lockdown.
Yes, besides that.
So besides the lockdown, I'll talk about before the lockdown. I found that the industry here that was looking for actors was either community-based, like community theater that wasn't professional, or super commercial-based. So they were, high-tech companies are looking for English speakers for commercials. And while I'm super grateful for all of the work that I've done, it was sort of like this balance of doing work that I loved but not getting paid for it, and doing work that really is just work to pay the bills. It has no commercial acting doesn't really feel like acting a lot of the time. It's just standing there with a cup or something, and it doesn't always feel like art. So I think that was definitely a challenge. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's just the way that it's looked at also. But I think one of the things that I had to get used to was also the informality of it all. It was really difficult for me to find an agent or a manager here that was willing to send me out on jobs. So it's something that you have to find yourself. So there's Facebook groups, and just through word of mouth, I've gotten a lot of auditions because a friend knew someone, not even a friend involved in theater, just a friend knew someone that was looking.
But are you finding that the auditions that you got were sort of more commercial based and not theater based? Did you have an issue because of the language barrier in terms of not being able to do theater? What kind of jobs were you auditioning for?
Yeah, for sure. So most of the jobs that I was auditioning for were commercials. I was finding it really hard to get auditions for anything theatrical besides there's an English speaking community theater in Tel Aviv.
Right.
But for me, it just feels really hard to be so dedicated to something that is your craft, that you studied for, that you have a degree in, and all of this stuff, and you're not making a living from. So it was something that I was searching for, some sort of professional theater. And my Hebrew, I can understand Hebrew, but I definitely cannot speak Hebrew fluently. And I think in order to act, especially in theater, you need to have a real, you need to really be able to master the language. That's the whole point of it. So that was definitely a challenge.
I think that Natalie, I'm just going to bring you in here for 2 seconds. I think that you would agree, and we'll all meet Natalie in a second, I promise. But in terms of challenges, even if you know Hebrew, because I know that for example, I speak Hebrew, and I speak Hebrew fluently and with a very minimal accent. Most Israelis don't know that I am not Israeli. And yet there's still that barrier. There's still, even if Ruby had to speak Hebrew fluently, you found as well that you had an issue with the accent, right?
Yes, actually, I also had trouble advancing in the business because my accent in Hebrew wasn't perfect and still isn't perfect. So that made me have to reconsider where I was going to put my hours, my working hours, because I was in the theater professionally here. I did a couple of musicals, and I was sort of put in a different role that I would have normally been put in had it been in English, or had they been excited by my Hebrew with a twist on the accent.
I think that's I agree. And I'm going to get back to you on more questions, Natalie, of course.
Yeah. But the one thing I want to say about that is that maybe it's a matter of getting the mannerisms completely natural, and living here long enough that it's not just your technical accent that's right, but it's more that people will buy your Israeliness. They don't like when you are not real here. I just think that's one of the main
For sure.
reasons.
And I think also the one thing we didn't discuss is I found that the acting styles are very, very different between the English speakers, and I can see you guys nodding. So you know what I'm speaking about. The Israeli style is very different, and I'm still having a hard time pinpointing exactly what it is. But there's no doubt that the English-speaking community in Israel has, or at least the artistic community, the theater community, has a challenge working here in Israel and pursuing their career here in Israel, which is why we obviously opened Center Stage, but that's a different story. So thanks for chipping in on that, Natalie, and I'm going to go back to Ruby if that's okay. So let me do that. So
I know you did a couple of things with the stage.
Yeah.
Ruby, you mentioned.
Which is the Stage Tel Aviv, which is a community theater in Tel Aviv, which is really great.
You had the parts of Frida and Luna?
Yeah, last 2 years, I can't believe it's already been 2 years. Wow. Yeah. 2 years ago, there was a project by the stage to do a children's play in English called Luna. And yeah, I was in that production, and it was really, really, really fun. It was the first children's play I'd ever been in. So yeah.
Oh, cool. So your character Frida, what did you find endearing about her? What didn't you like about her, or how did you form her as a character? And who is she?
Yeah, Frida is very bookish. She really likes books and storybooks, especially. She also, her mom is a costume maker, so she comes to school every day with different hats, and that's like something. She's definitely a kid that I would imagine, you know, when we were going through the character process, did not have many friends and was very desperate for friends, and that's sort of how she meets the main character. And yeah, I think that it wasn't so hard for me to pull inspiration for her. I think growing up as a kid in theater in a regular school that maybe focused more on sports and other things, I might have been misunderstood a few times in terms of who I was and why I wanted to go to school dressed in costumes or, you know, make up funny stories in middle class. Yeah, I was that kid. I like to dress up in costumes. Yeah, I think it's something that makes you stronger as an adult when you're sort of an individualistic child.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring a picture of you, if I may, as Luna. So let's just go to that. Hold on. There.
Yeah, there's me in my hat.
Reading your book with your purple hat.
Yep. That's me.
That's great.
Far too far off.
And what was the main sort of message of Luna? I mean, the children's story normally has a kind of a moral or lesson for the kids to learn. So what was that in this one?
I think there were a lot of lessons. I think the first one is being different. The three characters are all very different and are a bit misunderstood. It's actually a show about immigration in the U.S. as well, about what it's like to be the child of immigrants, what it's like to feel like you don't belong somewhere, and how friends can sort of help you with that, and being yourself can help you with that. And I think, yeah, that was the main message, was really to be kind to one another.
That would speak to the kids here in Israel as well, especially the kids who are immigrating.
Exactly.
And so I know that you did other things with the stage, like festivals, but I want to jump into your signing up to direct Rapture Blister Burn at Center Stage. And what drew you to that play? Because I know we looked at a lot of plays and eventually landed on Rapture Blister Burn, which was a Pulitzer Prize finalist. So obviously it had content, but what was it that drew you to that particular play?
First of all, I mean, it's kind of the obvious answer, but having a female playwright, I think from the very first time that you and I met and spoke about me being a director for something at Center Stage, was that we wanted it to be something that was from the female voice. That was really important to me, and to have complex female characters, which Rapture Blister Burn definitely had complex female characters. I think that what drew me was actually one of the things that the actors dreaded the most, which was scene 2 of Act 1, which was a very long scene where the characters just sit down and discuss feminism and argue about what feminism is, and, you know, the history of it, and why does it matter now? You know, we're past all of that, and getting all of these different intergenerational voices on what it means to be a woman in this world really interested me. And when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, this is the conversation that we're having. And I want to put that on stage.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's really what drew me.
Such a great job, Ruby. Such a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you were doing this, and I'm sorry that I'm taking up all the questions, Grant. I'm just getting so involved with people, but it's I mean, you're young, and here you were taking on a directing project of a play that is very complex. I kind of want to say what was your challenge, and I kind of say what wasn't your challenge, but what was your biggest challenge with this play, or what surprised you the most when you had to direct this play?
Yeah, so this was actually not only my directorial debut here in Israel, but it was the first time I had ever directed a full-length play. I had only directed short plays up until then, or plays in festivals. I think that the biggest challenge for me, to be perfectly honest, was self-doubt because of my age and of my theater background has mostly been acting and less directing. I think that was a huge hurdle for me to overcome. I talked a lot about imposter syndrome, like coming to the job and feeling like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think, yeah, it was definitely a challenge. First of all, that I was the youngest person in the cast/crew. It was definitely interesting to sort of come into a place where the people were older than me, maybe more experienced than me in terms of how many years they've been professionally acting, and sort of put my foot down and be like, okay, this is my vision and this is what I want to be, but still have it a collaborative experience. That's always really important, for it to be collaborative.
Yes.
And I think another challenge was just culture. There, it was a cast of Israelis and Americans. And I think for me, there was this challenge of, first of all, making sure that, it's an American play written by an American for an American audience. So there were some things that were a little bit more nuanced for Americans that I had to then think of. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but just things that I had to explain, certain words, certain things of, wasp. Wasp is a great one.
Oh, yeah.
I have to explain what a wasp is, that it's not like a bee. And to sort of explain the culture behind like a Connecticut or like a New England wasp, which is something very near and dear to my heart, being from Connecticut.
Right.
Yeah, so something like that was a challenge, but also really fun.
Well, again, really good that job that you did there. And you we had some sold out shows. It was our second production at Center Stage. And towards the end, word of mouth had gotten out and people were coming to see it. And luckily we managed to get our whole run in before COVID, right as COVID hit. So we had our last show and that was it. Then we didn't have anything else after that because of COVID. But, kudos to you. Well done. And
thanks for being our last show.
the last show before COVID.
Before COVID.
Hang on.
I was already quarantined for the last night, for the closing night. I was quarantined because I had just come back from Germany, which was
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see you back at Center Stage.
We'll do it all again.
Here's hoping.
On the stage, directing wherever.
Thank
you are
you.
truly
Yes.
talented, and stay with us because we're going to ask you some questions at the end.
Sure.
But thanks so much, Ruby. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Ruby.
We're going to go on to
Natalie.
So let's bring Natalie
Hey,
in. And,
Hi.
whoa, hi Gertrude. I put you in spotlight. So hold on. Let me get you in. Make a very different Natalie to what I thought I was getting. No, why is it doing that?
It really likes you, Gershon.
I don't mind if he's the face of my voice. Yeah, let's go for it. Just wave your arms around a bit.
We'll get there. I'm pressing on your buttons. So that doesn't sound good, but hang on. Let me just see here. Add. There you are. Okay. Hi,
Hello.
Natalie. Okay. So let me get the introduction going and then Brian can ask you some questions and I'll pop in.
Cool.
I tend to speak a lot, so just excuse me. Poor Grant knows me already. He's been with me for many, many years and he knows how to handle me. So here we go. Born in Hong Kong to American Israeli parents, Natalie moved to the UK at the age of 15, where she studied dance and performance at the Arts Educational School, Twing. I love that name, Twing. Okay. She then went on to receive a Bachelor of Music degree at the University of Birmingham. Birmingham, really, Birmingham. And a master's degree in musical theatre from the Guildford School of Acting in 2011. Performed on Broadway, the West End, and here in Israel in some of my favorite musicals. So I'm very jealous, including Rent, Avenue Q, West Side Story, and Hairspray. Welcome, Natalie. Thrilled to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a thrill to be here.
Let's start
in my house.
So you have to start off by telling us what it's like growing up in Hong Kong.
Yeah, boy, well, how did your parents sort of get there,
how did you end up
how was
there?
it growing up?
How did they get there? I think they flew, but they could have taken a boat, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there. I know. I wasn't there. I was there. There were a family of 5, my siblings and my parents. They were in the United States living, and I think they were having a great time. And then my dad got a job in Hong Kong, and it was supposed to be a 2-year kind of thing, and then it turned into forever, pretty much forever. They just kind of recently moved away from Hong Kong as their main base, my parents. But that's how I ended up there. I was born after they moved, and I was a Hong Kong made baby. And I think it's a very cool thing to have as my first experience of this world was Hong Kong. Yeah.
Yeah, and tell us about that. You did a lot of I'm assuming that it's how is Hong Kong in terms of the theater scene and the cultural scene and things like that? How did you?
Well, it was I had so much of an appetite for it because it was everywhere. It was school. There were tons of like societies and groups that were putting things on, and there were tours coming through like mad. And actually, but really, I'd say the catalyst, like the one thing that got me really into being, watched by an audience was my first ever teacher, Liz Ryan. She was my first ever speech, voice, music teacher, and she taught me when I was 4. So she was the deputy headmistress of my school, and it was basically her kind of influence on the school that introduced speech to me and music and singing, and she brought us into professional productions that were touring the world and came through and needed kids to be in the shows. And I kind of just got pulled in more and more, and I enjoyed so much being in that world. So I was lucky because from a very young age, I was singing every morning. In school, I was learning poems for speech competitions. I was in plays every year. There was always something to look forward to, and it was always music related or always performance related. It was just a big highlight of my very early years. And then of course I was watching tons of movie musicals at home and going out to classical concerts with my parents. They used to take the 4 of us dressed up on New Year's Eve to the Hong Kong Philharmonic concert, and we would sit there and we would listen to all of it and just soak it all in. And I felt very lucky. We had everything around us, and yeah, I didn't hold back.
Amazing. It's incredible how teachers actually have such an impact on us. I hear it a lot with performers that it's teachers really do spot certain things about us, I guess, or notice about us and have a huge impact. And it's a story that kind of repeats itself. So thank you to the teachers who keep an eye out for the talent and for the passions of young people.
She didn't just look at, well, she made you feel like she was looking at just you, but she was looking at the whole, I don't know, the whole school, all youth. I mean, she was just the whole school was influenced by her idea that music and drama should be at the center, and the kids were really
Amazing.
happy. Even the ones that weren't theatrical, they would say, I'm not, it's not really my thing to be on stage, but I like it. Nobody had anything against it by the end. She'd worked so well. And at the same time, she'd really opened doors for kids who wanted to go further, who really liked it. So, I made all of that stuff happen, and my parents did, and my family did. We worked really hard to get me to the shows and the rehearsals. But if it wasn't for her, putting the opportunities there, then I wouldn't have had it. And I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for Liz Ryan. So
thank you, Liz Ryan.
I hope she watches. She knows. I love her so much. She's amazing.
Excellent. I have a teacher like that as well, but so I know exactly what you're saying.
When you were 15, you went on to the UK. You moved back to the UK.
I watched Billy Elliot, the movie, when it came out. I think I was 13 or 14, and it changed my life. Again, another sort of piece of art that kind of inspired me and changed the way I thought. I didn't realize that you could be such a pushy kid and get yourself and do something to such an extreme that everyone's just going to have to go with your plan. So I said to everyone, I want to go to the Royal Ballet School. I was dancing ballet so much. One thing I missed out on saying was, after all of the showbiz as a kid, I really took dance super seriously. So I was at this Hong Kong Chinese Academy for Ballet 5 days a week after school for hours at a time. I was really dedicated ballerina, and I didn't know that there was such a thing as going to London to study musicals and then eventually be in musicals in London. I didn't know. I was just really busy practicing ballet, doing my exams and practicing, doing my homework. I was a very studious kid. And then suddenly I came to my teachers and my parents with this idea, and they were like, we want to just get some ideas together about schools, and then we'll help you make a video and you'll just go. So they were just not a difficult bunch of people to convince. They were so happy to go with me. So I was very young and very excited, and I did not look back. I didn't, I cried, I think, when I left, but really just, I wasn't feeling the pain of, leaving. I was just excited with my bags, like, I'm about to fly by myself for the first time ever to England, and I'm going to go and be there, and I'm just going to do me. So,
wow, at 15, that's someone who really knows what they want and chases it. So that's amazing.
Yes.
So you went to the school, which is the Performing Arts School. So we've got people still coming in. Tring, which I love the sound of that, Tring. And you studied at university. But then afterwards you returned to Asia?
I did. I came back for, a little taste of being a grown person in Hong Kong, because I left when I was 15, and then I would come back for, once a year, maybe twice, if I was lucky to see family and spend the holidays. But I hadn't experienced working, and my big brother was doing it. He came back from England from university and was going down the career of journalism, and he was pursuing his dream in Hong Kong and actually having a great time. And I think I took inspiration from that, and I really missed home. I actually was 22 by the time I got home after leaving at 15, by the time I'd actually wasn't living out of a suitcase or in temporary accommodation. So it was amazing to come home. And I spent a year teaching, performing. I was in an opera. People gave me a lot of first chances to make a first impression in Hong Kong. I came in with lots of energy, and everybody was so wonderful. I had an amazing time, and then I went to Universal Studios off of that year. I built myself up so much. I'd had such a great year.
Sure. I think this is one from, whoops, I wanted to show pictures of Rapture Bliss to Burn, which I didn't do.
Oh,
I
wow.
apologize. So there's
I was going to say, I definitely didn't do that.
but there you are. Is that with the was Avenue Q part of, that wasn't part of the something in Singapore, was it? No, that was
That was
Anything
much
else?
later. That was after I'd left Asia, went back to the UK to take musical theater to the UK.
Okay.
I mean, to take myself into the business there because I was having such a great time at Universal Studios in Singapore. I was a swing, so I was in 5 different shows around the park. They're an amazing company. I met performers, directors, stunt people, musicians, writers, producers from all over the world. They came into this project, and it was the opening of the park, so it was really spectacular. And I earned this salary that I couldn't believe I was earning from being a performing artist. I was in shock, and I left because I wanted more. I wanted to get my teeth into some real theater, you know. So I went back to London, studied, and my 2-year Asia chapter was over. But it was an amazing couple of years. I
Wow.
loved it so much, and I miss it.
So then I have to ask, what made you come to Israel?
No, not yet.
Not yet?
No, don't go there yet. Wait.
I can wait.
Oh,
Okay, there's a whole, exactly, Rega.
There is a
right?
chapter in between, but
There's a whole lot of stuff there in between. You went back to the UK once you finished the Singapore part of things, and you racked up some impressive credits. So fill us
like
in
to
on those,
think
because
so.
we can't just skip to Israel.
I'm sorry.
There's some really
Thank
good credits
you,
there.
Daniela. No, I'm excited to speak about like today. You know, I
will.
want to speak about Israel and today, but it's true. I shouldn't forget, and it's actually a daily exercise for me because I've spent my whole life in this world, and it kind of led to this career in musicals and being on stage, and my life being sort of on in the evening when the show starts, and in the day I'm just kind of getting ready and I'm doing other jobs or my life admin, and then I'm on stage in the evening. So I've had to live this time like a lot of people who are used to performing, sort of remembering myself as a performer. So I love to talk about my shows that I did in London and around. So I spent, after graduating from my 1-year course in musical theater, I had an agent for my debut, audition season in London. And we started auditioning for some big shows, and I got really close because I had the skills, but I just didn't have the swag. I didn't want to oversell myself in the beginning. So, and it worked out in my favor because I took on some jobs that were smaller scale, but also gave me a chance to kind of find myself in London and not have all eyes on me in a, Les Mis, the however manyth year that they're doing that. But friends of mine were kind of pushing for those shows, and I was hoping to get into a big show in a way, but I was very happy to kind of build up my momentum my way. And I did, my first show was no expenses even. I put all the time and money in, I guess, to survive and live at the time. And I gave myself to the show, and it ended up being incredible. We were in the Sadler's Wells, which is an incredible venue. We performed with a multitude of ex-West End, current West End performers, and the standard was so high. We were singing incredible. We took an old musical called Flahuli, which is I think it's by Yip Harburg, who wrote Somewhere of the Rainbow.
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz music. And so I ended up doing this really obscure show. And then one person heard that I did this, and I had an audition for that, and I did a slightly better paid profit share kind of show, and I did another one with the same director, and it was in a theater under a bridge, so there were rats in the dressing room, and it was
wonderful.
kind of grungy, but it was a legendary theater venue in London, the Union Theatre in Waterloo, Southwark, sorry, oh my gosh, I'm getting, so it's quite a long time ago now. And then eventually I ended up in some really cool shows. I did Lost Boy, the musical, at the Charing Cross Theatre in the West End. We started in a small venue, and I played Tiger Lily in this musical storytelling of Peter Pan. It was amazing. I actually got to work with some really amazing people, and my ex-teacher who directed me at Guildford School of Acting was a co-actor in this production. So
Oh, wow.
Andrew Wadsworth, who was the original I forget the name of his role in Sweeney Todd. the one that sings Johanna, Tobias, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, so he was my hero at Guildford. He was the best director that we had there. I was so happy to have him as a teacher, and then he suddenly was my co-star. No, he wasn't. He was Captain Hook. He was fantastic. And then I went on to Avenue Q in Korea. We were in South Korea in Seoul for 7 weeks, and my mind was just blown by the place. The show is incredible.
Yes.
It was a really amazing experience. And then a little bit after that, I was at Wembley Arena. I performed in a show about well, it's a biblical story, and I played Eve. We had a sort of beginning section, sort of a ballet, Adam and Eve.
That was Love Beyond.
Love Beyond, yeah. That I'm still trying to get video for that because it was so amazing. We had a 35-piece orchestra. It was in front of 6,000 people. You know, we had a couple of performances that were that full, and we were projected onto screens. It was amazing. So I got my fair share of experience of theater from London. And then I just said,
now Grant's going to ask his question. Now I can let him do it. So go ahead and ask your question.
I helped you a little bit.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Why Israel?
Why Israel? So I was pretty done, I think. I was, I could have gone on to be in a contracted role in the West End. That would have been something that would have been next. But I wasn't so hungry for it because I just did this show in Wembley Arena, and I felt like I really was able to shine my star. You know, I didn't feel like a star, like a, you know, fame. I didn't feel any of that. I just felt like, wow, I was on this stage with this role and these people who believed in me to carry their vision, and I did it, and in such a big way to so many people, and it was a success. So I was just digesting that. It was enough, you know, it really filled me up. And I'm glad I didn't go into something big next, because I left space to move to Israel. And I had a family here. My parents had kind of moved. My dad made Aliyah. They were moving from Hong Kong back to Israel. My sister was here, started having kids, and I just extended my trips from England to Israel every time. I would come back much later than I planned to England, and then I'd feel a bit deflated back there. I'd feel like, oh, I just
Something's
loved
missing.
it here so much. And then, you know, a long time went by, and I just got my Aliyah done, and I came here for, you know, for the rest of it. I was like, okay, theater, fine, good. I can do this. I love it. Maybe I didn't do it for, you know, I didn't do my year extended contracted performance of some show, but I'm okay. I think I know what it's all about. I just want to know what life is about, because Israel seems to give me so much life when I go. It just gives, it's so much energy. So I wanted to see what I could make of it. And I met a girl who was trying to run a company that focused on what you're focusing on, and she was trying to build it from the ground up back then in her way, and I just joined in, and I came straight into a production that she co-produced with another one in England, and there was already stuff going on that I just said, you know, I'm having fun. I'm on stage. There are people here that have this goal of performing professionally here in any language and even in English, so I'm going to come help. And then that dream kind of, yeah, I'm so glad I did. That dream kind of faded, and other things came to the forefront of life.
Yeah, because you actually were in Israel when you got the part of Rent, right?
I was, yeah. So that kind of, yeah.
I'm going to let people enjoy a song of yours, because time is just moving away from us. I'm just gonna not at all. Let me just. I really want people to see you on stage. So let me share this.
Oh yeah, share.
And I will. And I'm hoping people can hear. And if there's for some reason, let me know. That's amazing. There you are.
Journeys to plan.
So there you were.
Wow.
Woohoo! Amazing.
Just
So
so
maybe
beautiful.
this was the US tour of Rent, and I would love to go into that, but I want to take us straight into, because again, time is running short and people are, I'm sure, get kind of. So I just want to say, let's look at what you're doing now in Israel, and just talk about that for a very short time, and then we're going to go into the questions for you and Ruby.
Okay, so I'll speed through just explaining what these workshops that are coming up are all about. So I can't wait. I recently spoke to Center Stage, this incredible establishment, about my ability to translate an in-person workshop focusing on voice, improvisation, anything to do with theater. My ability to translate that to Zoom or to the virtual world, I've done it. I've seen it happen. It's successful when I do. And I was so happy that Center Stage and Daniela and Grant were into it. And you know, I'm very excited to try this and to bring this to all of this community and spread it.
This is
around.
great, because your experience in musical theater is really, really rich, and I can see our community really benefiting from that experience and knowledge, and it's going to be amazing. And then the other ones, which is the sort of improv and movement and or voice, it's great to get us moving. I know I, for one, need to get moving. Especially in this lockdown, we need to sort of, you know, use our voice, use our bodies in ways, and just really enjoy ourselves. So thank you for coming on board with that. And the information is on our website and on our Facebook page, and it's going to be tremendous. So that is exciting, and we're looking forward to that, to have you with us and us from your experience. And I'm going to bring Ruby back in here so that we can do our hey Ruby, we're just going to do our 10 questions, which is like, well, we don't necessarily get through all the 10 at every time, but these are ones that we want you to answer very quickly, and whatever comes to your head first. And they're very sort of out there, but it kind of gives us an insight into who you are. So there's no wrong answers. They're just your answers. So have fun with it. Go for it, Grant.
Okay, first questions. I'm going to direct this one to Ruby, and then you can answer, Natalie. What is your idea of perfect happiness?
Perfect happiness is feeling fulfilled in what you're doing and feeling like you are making a difference in the world, I think.
Cool. Nice one. Natalie?
I think it is a state of being in which you are so open and in awe of the wonders around us. So when we're soaking it in and we're radiating it back, that's to me, that's
absolutely. I agree with you. So Natalie, I'm going to put this question to you and put you on the spot first. What is a trait you most deplore in others?
Deplore.
Yes.
I would say a trait, gosh, is judgment. Is that a trait?
Yeah.
Can I say that or prejudgment?
Yeah.
Prejudgment. Okay. But it's also, I understand it. I don't, you know, we're all capable, but that is, you know, a place that we all need to get out of.
For sure. Ruby?
I don't know. I think like indifference.
Good one.
A trait. Yeah. I think if you like people who just, indifference, I'll say that.
And for actors, I think that's like the biggest curse. You don't want anyone to stay indifferent to anything that you're doing.
Exactly.
It's like, no.
Hate me or love me, but don't not do anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another question. Number 3. What person do you most admire?
Who's that to?
To Ruby.
Like in my personal life or in like
if you anyone, you can choose anyone, living, alive, not alive.
Yeah, anyone.
I would have to say I have two answers. One is my mom, and the other one is Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think your mom really sort of
My
like
favorite.
appreciates that very much. For sure. Natalie.
And my dad. He's here
And your
too.
dad. Oh my God. Let's open your dad. Absolutely.
Well, I'm gonna steal the two answers and give my mom and dad all the credit for being the people I most admire on
Oh, I
this
think you was that your
planet.
mom there. I think she really enjoyed that response.
She's there. They always are, you know. That's why they always are, and it's not easy, but they do it no matter what. So I'll try to do the same.
Okay, next one. On what occasion do you lie? Natalie?
When I'm very uncomfortable because I don't like to lie. I feel, gosh, what occasion do I like to lie? When it's to protect someone or something, you know, the protection. I would give a lie to protect. But it really has to be, you know, something. My moral compass is okay. I'm pretty happy.
You're okay with it. That's good. Okay.
Ruby, how's your moral compass?
I think I have a pretty strong moral compass, but my immediate answer was like when I can get away with it. I think there's something of like sometimes I just like to like see. I don't know. Yeah.
That's also, you can always excuse that and say that's the actor in me. I like to see if I can really
Definitely
embody this lie and be this lie and be authentic in the lie. I
don't lie that often, but when I can, I'll try it out.
Okay. So if can I ask the next one?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry. If you couldn't act, direct, etc., and be in this kind of industry, what talent would you most like to have?
Am I answering first?
Yes, go for it, Ruby.
Well, my answer is singing because it's like the one thing that I wish I could do. I know that's like in the same realm, but I think if I could have something that has nothing to do with performing, I would like to have a talent of numbers because I really don't, and I think it would be beneficial to understand numbers.
Totally get you. Natalie, how about you?
So I would
you sing, you dance, you act, yeah.
No, I want to be fluent in every language. That would be the most amazing thing.
Every language.
Just every language.
I dream of being, you know, a linguist.
Wow.
So maybe one day
What is your if you had to learn one language, what would it be?
Okay, because I know a few, I would learn French from the beginning. I would learn it properly. Yeah, I think French is it's a window to so much. There's a whole universe of amazing French language stuff.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Next question. I'll keep it with Natalie. What do you most value in your friends?
I would say honesty. Yeah, I would say just being real and honestly liking me for who I am. Just honesty. Yeah, that's all I need.
Good.
Ruby?
Compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a lot. We need a lot of that in people too.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, so
I'll do the last one. I have to do the last one. Okay, Natalie, you take this one first. If you were to die and come back as a person or a thing, who or what would it be?
I would come back as a warrior lady who could make the world better again. but in advance. So I would come back, a little while back, and I would just stop all this nonsense.
Oh, honey, we need a lady warrior right now. It's never mind going back. We need it now.
Today.
I'm in. It just, I don't have the proper weapons yet, but
we have the weapons at the
I-
theatre.
Yep.
They're props, but they're very big swords.
And never mind, the theater itself is a weapon. So, we can
okay, yes, there you go. Let's fight this
change, make
war.
good change in this world.
So-
Ruby, what about you?
I don't know. I think maybe some sort of tropical plant, like a plant that's there for a while. I mean, I don't know why I said that, but
So
when
first
I was a kid, I was a weird kid. I think like there's something.
That's what it is.
I would like to be like one with nature in that way. My other answer was like I want to be like a golden retriever, like to a very wealthy family. Like I just want to be pampered in my next life.
Somebody did answer that they wanted to be their father's cat.
Yes.
Yeah,
Aw.
a cat is also fine.
Who
Yeah.
was that?
It was Josh.
Was it Josh?
Yeah. So that's, guys, that sort of
That's
is
the
our
end of the
questions, but
question.
I want,
And
if
you
anyone
passed.
has
That's
questions that they ask, I know Natalie wrote here, first of all, she said, I'm so jealous of music and drama teachers. Natalie's a teacher herself, so I think that we are, grateful to her for being a teacher. But she asks, do you find Israeli theater is different from the West End Broadway? Has it changed over the years? And she says, you look so young, Natalie.
So I would say Israeli theater is different because the people and the life is different. At the end of the day, it's the same medium, but what Israelis and what British people are doing with this medium is very different. The language, the music. I mean, I think when you go to the right places in both countries, you experience magic.
For sure.
So there's no better one.
Just
And
different.
they're different. And also just think of the age of the traditions. So a tradition that's older and has a lot more history and hasn't moved as much, like the Israeli theater is kind of built up of it, immigrants taking their schools of theater and bringing it. So it's those are old schools, are old traditions. So there is a great quality to the Israeli theater that doesn't exist in the UK, but then you can't take the theater away from, the theater tradition in the UK is just so strong.
Yeah. Well, it's just,
Hasn't
it's
moved
kind of,
for so long.
it's the cultures as well that dictate the styles of the theater as well. Guys, any other questions that you have that we haven't covered that you want us to? Nothing. You please use the chat if you want to ask questions, or you can unmute yourself. I don't know if I'm letting in a torrent of I don't know what, but it seems like people are feeling like they've gotten to know you guys. So that is amazing. Again, this whole experience here of On Cue is meant to be as a platform to introduce you to our community, to know that there are people here who are doing their best to promote English language theater and culture. And, that's what Center Stage is really all about. And I hope you guys enjoyed your time with us. We certainly enjoyed getting to know you guys. So thank you very, very much.
Definitely.
And you have people are clapping. So thank you. Thank you, Bertrand. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Stan. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Please join us next week.
great.
Next week, as we said, we're going to have a one-year blowout party. So everyone who has taken part in Center Stage in the very few months that we were open, that we managed to be open before COVID hit, hopefully they'll come in as guests. So please join us in celebrating Center Stage and what we're trying to achieve here in Israel on our own, the only professional English theater here in Israel. So thank you so much for all of you for joining us. We miss you in our theaters. We can't wait till we open our doors again and invite you back in. And we'll see you next week. Thank you all. Thanks so much,
everybody.
Natalie. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ruby.
Yes,
Bye. Thank you.
Good
Thanks,
evening,
guys.
everyone.
Thanks, Ethel.